भावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नोन्मुहो वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुजुगं श्रीजीव गोपालकौ कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परं प्रेमामृतं बनिधि कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परं प्रेमामृतं बनिधि Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Such a beautiful version of the Maha Mantra by Srila Prabhupada. And these are cherished moments in his preaching work that have been captured by his disciples. And his disciples are his servants. This is the business of the disciple, to serve the spiritual master without motivation, selflessly. And in this way, one can get the attention of Krishna. This is the process of devotional service. And Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, I'm getting a lot of requests from people weekly on being my, on them wanting to be members of ISKCON. Are you? And they ask me this question: are you a member of ISKCON? And I answer them, I'm a Prabhupada disciple. So then they say, can you be my guru? It seems like people are really, especially from India, because we have such a large influence, relatively speaking, on social media, people are getting a hold of various members of our group and asking, can you be my guru? Now, that's a very attractive sort of proposition, isn't it, for a person that's aspiring for power and influence? Oh, yes, I've got a disciple. But for the Prabhupada disciples, we're not interested in that because we are already positioned as Prabhupada's eternal servants. And our job is to direct these people that are coming to us to Srila Prabhupada. Yes. This is the connection that we give them. And then I send them information on our classes, all of our social media platforms, and contact information so that they can plug in and learn about what we're preaching. that Prabhupada is the bona fide spiritual master, and we are all his disciples. And Prabhupada lives with us in his Vani incarnation, in sound. And so as students, we daily connect with him through reading his books, through hearing his lectures, and through distributing his information to others through his unedited, unadulterated books. Yes. Because then these people can get properly trained up to become Prabhupada disciples. Yes, we are looking for disciples for Srila Prabhupada. And we are, as a group, training people how to become that, Vijay Pandit. We're trying to teach people the way back home, back to Godhead, by a proper understanding of Guru Tattva Vit, who is the bona fide spiritual master, and how to connect with him. This is the process of yoga, not connect with us. This is a very dangerous thing, actually, to become enamored by self-promotion. Oh, look at me, look at how smart I am. I'm the latest Tony Robbins in Dodi and Kurta. So it goes on in this other group that we were former members of. Yes, either that or wearing Ralph Lauren or Lacoste shirts and preaching some kind of watered down philosophy in order to attract followers. Yes, watered down. Prabhupada very, very precisely says that we should simply repeat what we've heard from our spiritual master, and that will empower other people to take up Krishna consciousness. Do not concoct, do not manufacture philosophy, but simply repeat what you've heard. And this is something that we should all practice. I was talking to a friend of mine, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, yesterday, Dr. Trevor, who's in this area of the country. And as you know, he's been coming to our classes for a year, over a year and a half. And I told him, I said, the main thing is listen to Prabhupada's lectures. And I sent him the October 22nd lecture, 1972, and he read it carefully. And he saw the point that Prabhupada was making. Do not make a trade with Krishna. That this is not a business. That you represent yourself as Krishna or Krishna's pure devotee. And in this way you attract followers. Nadanam najanam nasindarim. This was the preaching, the prayers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we have to follow. Because Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada followed that perfectly. Actually, if you read carefully through all of Prabhupada's books, he never says that he's the bona fide spiritual master. You have to figure it out. Why? By his actions. You don't see him get up and say, oh, I'm the pure devotee. He is. Actually, Prabhupada is the literary incarnation of Srila Vyasadeva. He is. Well, what's the proof? Well, just read his books. Just see the masterpiece of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's extraordinary. And the masterpiece of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Delhi versions, where we're moving ahead to get those printed for distribution. Yes, we are. And we want to thank everyone that's participated in our GoFundMe program, A Krishna Katha. Very, very enlivening for all of us as humble servants of Srila Prabhupada, that everybody stepped up and gave what they could. And I wanted to mention, we will be closing the program soon, but you still have time to donate. And anybody who donates whatever amount that you can afford, if you can give out $30 or $20. If you can give $2,000 or $10,000 or $50,000, go ahead. Send the money into this GoFund program, and we will properly utilize this Lakshmi in the service of our Guru, Srila Prabhupada, by printing his books and spreading his mission without adulteration. Yes, we will. We are set up to do that. We have quite an interesting network of people, and we're creating a new letterhead for our group. And in that letterhead, Vijay Pandit, your name is listed, Deville, Italy. Yes. And you are an office of the Hare Krishna Society, Prabhupada Disciples Association in Italy for all the Italian people. And you're taking the leadership role. Yes, you are. And we want to congratulate you on your efforts. It is very, very inspiring for all of us in this group to see other people taking up the mission in their respective areas of the world. Yes. And this is everyone's responsibility. It is not the responsibility of one person. This is called teamwork. You don't succeed on your own. And Prabhupada told us if you can work cooperatively together to spread this movement, that will show your love for me. You know, people talk lip service. Oh, yeah. But actions speak louder than words. And this is a very important point for all of us to understand. It's not talk. Because what is talk, Krishna Katha? Talk is cheap. Anybody can babble on like the water streaming down the mountain to the lake or the ocean. Babble, babble. Actions do speak louder than words. And this is the position of the devotees of this group, the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society. We are acting together. We are working together without envy, without fault finding, without blasphemy. That's the business of other people. You know, sometimes people also, Prabhus, just so you know, they look at us, well, how come you're so critical of your God brothers in the ISKCON group? Well, we're not critical of them. We're dissenters. We're pointing out flaws in the philosophical position you've taken as so-called bona fide gurus. Where did you get the authority to take that position? Who told you? Is it some kind of resolution in the GBC law book that says that now you're a guru? A bona fide representative of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Srila Prabhupada? And then you're distributing other books, your own books? For example, I made a devotee, I was part of a team that made a devotee named Shivaram, who is Shivaram Swami in Hungary. Now, he's originally from Montreal. And when I was there as the vice president of the Montreal Temple, the Sankirtan leader and the cook all at once, he joined as Bhakti Steve. Okay, fair enough. And he was a very sincere, serious devotee. Now he's got these books, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, that I see they're on a campaign to sell, the Leelas of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan that he wrote. Very interesting. I guess the sales have slowed down, so now he's got his disciples out selling his books. Why are you doing that? Well, confused, very confused philosophically. And this confusion, this example of this confusion is demonstrated by their actions. Instead of selling the bona fide, unedited Bhagavad-gītā, instead of selling Srimad Bhagavatam unchanged, instead of supporting the Delhi campaign of the Srimad Bhagavatams in the GoFundMe program, they're going out and selling their own books. What is this? For example, with Radhanath Swami, he's selling his book, Journey home to nowhere. Excuse me, I mean journey home, not nowhere. I guess it's nowhere. You're going nowhere. I sent this, by the way, I sent a picture of Radhanath to Dharmatma, my friend who's originally from Canada, and as you know, he was the Sankirtan leader in West Virginia during the time of Keith Ham. He was a key player in their hoax, let's say, their fraud. Actually, they were convicted of fraud, and he was put in jail along with Keith Ham. So I sent, and he sent back me a reply, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. Oh, don't send me these pictures of Radhanath. I can't stand looking at them. I wonder why. You're a Prabhupada disciple. We're Prabhupada disciples. I sent you a picture of Radhanath to show you what they're doing now with this type of, like Lord Chaitanya dance, acting. That's, of course, acting is a very popular thing today, especially in politics. Up here in Canada, we have a prime minister. He's a very good actor. That's what he taught. He taught in high school how to act. Now he's the prime minister. Acting, pretending, posing, posturing. Oh, people, well, we're criticizing them. No, we're not. We're explaining the philosophy according to Prabhupada's teachings to all of us as Prabhupada disciples, and do not change anything, not one word. And that's going on. They're changing everything. And this so-called mission that Prabhupada created, that is a phenomenal mission, has been destroyed by these people. What a tragedy. But guess what? With our branch offices, there are a total of 17, by the way, worldwide, 17 branch offices now. And our book publications that we're entering into, the unedited books of Srila Prabhupada, and with our work to make new people devotees, because we want to do that, make them disciples, help them become disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Yes, you're the future of this movement. Are these other people going to sustain after the time of death? No, they aren't. They will not sustain. They will collapse. I have many friends like that. Bhakti Charu Swami was a good friend of mine for all my life. I know him quite well. I've certainly loved him as a person. He was very nice, but unfortunately, he got contaminated by this concept that I am a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Not true. It is not true. It's a fraud. And it is our hope that we can, as dissenters in this mission, explain to other people philosophically and practically how they're misled and they're misleading other people on the path home, back to Godhead. And Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, you know that. This is a very serious matter. This is not a joke. We are not playing around with the distortions of our philosophy by our God brothers. This is a mistake. And we will stand up to them without fear. All of us, Krishna Kata, Prabhu, stand up to them and talk to them in dialogue, not worry about getting beaten, which is possible. And Krishna Kata here in this group, Prabhus, is very aware of these problems. He is a firsthand witness of a tragedy that took place back in the 80s with one of our God brothers, Sulochan. He was a witness to the court on the reality of what really happened. And he was also a witness in another situation there of another devotee that was put in jail for 30 years because of his child abuse. Is this a joke? No, it's not. It's very serious. So people should be very serious with us. So continue on, everyone, to donate while you still can to the GoFundMe program. Support this mission that we're on. Support our growth and development whatever way you can, either by speaking or preaching or distributing or donating money to help us spread this movement. We're not taking salaries. None of us. We are not interested in salaries. We are interested in service. Service over salary. That sounds like a good caption, doesn't it? Pure devotional service without motivation, uninterrupted, which completely satisfy the self. And you will be happy if you take this up with us. There is happiness in this world. It's called Ananda, bliss. It's not based on sense enjoyment. It's not based on material enjoyment. There is no happiness, Prabhupada explains, in sense enjoyment. It is simply a perception of happiness. But real happiness comes when you are connected properly, Krishna Gata, to this bona fide spiritual master and the service to his lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We're going to move forward here. I could go on, I guess. I'm just so happy that we've got this program, but we have a lot to cover today. And we're going to go with Rupesh as our production host this morning. Thank you, Rupesh Prabhu from India, for sending me a notice that you were going to be hosting the program, so I knew where to send the diaries. And we're reading from an excerpt from a letter to Hanuman Prasad Podar dated February 5th, 1970. I feel very much obliged to Gopal and his wife Sally for the nice treatment and reception. I was with them for 3 weeks in Butler near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then I came to New York. I was getting some money by selling my Srimad Bhagavatam. And thus I was maintaining myself in New York. Very insightful here, brother Prabhus. Sell books and use the money to maintain yourself. Yes, absolutely. That's what Prabhupada did. But you need bona fide books, and we're creating them for you coming into the future. And if you want to be a preacher like that, by all means, we will help you facilitate your work in the particular countries you're in. After some time, I rented one apartment at number 171st Street. But after a few months, all of my things, typewriter, tape recorder, books, were stolen. Apartment with no kitchen, by the way, and no bathroom. Can you imagine? Then for some time, one of my students gave me shelter at the Bowery Street. Oh yeah, Paul Murray. They stole from him there, and his life was in danger as well. But he went forward. Then I rented one storefront in an apartment at 26 2nd Avenue for $200 per month. But without any source of income, I started my classes, and sometimes on Sundays, I used to chant Hare Krishna mantra in Tompkins Square Park from 3 to 5 p.m. During this time, all the young boys and girls used to come around me. Sometimes Poet Ginsberg would come to see me, and sometimes a reporter from New York Times came to see me. In this way, the Hare Krishna mantra chanting became very popular on the Lower East Side. Very concise explanation here. Very, very informative for all of us here at this class. In this way, the younger generation became attracted, and gradually many branches were opened, one after another. After New York, the next branch we opened in San Francisco. Then in Montreal, God bless the Canadians. Then in Boston, in Los Angeles, we have now the following centers in the States, Canada, Europe, Japan, and Australia. Spreading like wildfire. Excerpt from a letter to Jayapataka Swami dated July 10th, 1970. Listen carefully, everyone. I'm very glad to learn from your letter dated 2nd of July that both yourself and Achyutananda went to Babu Ghat for chanting Hare Krishna. I am very glad to learn it. The same process I adopted in your country when I started my Sankirtan in Tompkins Square. New York was so kind to send to me all these boys and girls who are helping me now. Babu Ghat is a very nice place. Similarly, in front of Babu Ghat, there's the Eden Garden. That is also a very nice place. After it is not the question of the place, but it is the person who chants. It is a question of the person who chants, which is important. A sincere soul like you and all of the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, so much devoted to the spiritual master and Krishna, is sure to be successful anywhere. So you adopt the same principles as we are doing here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And all glories to the mission of the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, to protect the legacy of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, moving into the future of eternal time. Haribo. We'll move forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna or the bhajan Jaya Radha Madhava, and then the class with His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu in California. Hare Krishna.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami to Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami to Bhaktivedanta ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. As we do every week, we will be reading a few selected verses, Sanskrit verses, that were given by Srila Prabhupada in 1966 in New York when he started his lectures on the Bhagavad-gītā. These are the verses given in the introduction on page 1. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaham. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahaguna Ragunatan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Dasa and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita-Ācārya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpati Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. O my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. This week's we will be reading from chapter 11, text number 15, and hopefully 16. Arjuno Vacha. All synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Chapter 11, text 15. Arjuno Vacha. Pashyami devam stabadeva dehe sarvam stata bhuta vishesa sangham brahmanamisham kamalasanastam rishim cha sarvan uragam cha divyan. Arjuna uvacha. Arjuna said, Pashyami, I see, devan, all the demigods, tava, your, deva, O Lord, dehe, in the body, saravan, all, tatha, also, bhuta, living entities, vishesha sanghan, specifically assembled, brahmanam, Lord Brahma, isham, Lord Shiva, Kamala asanastam, sitting on the lotus flower, Rishan, great sages, Cha, also, Saravan, all, Uragan, serpents, Cha, also, Divyan, divine. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna said, My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled together in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and many sages and divine serpents. purport by His Divine Grace. Arjuna sees everything in the universe, therefore, he sees Brahma, who is the first creature in the universe, and the celestial serpent upon which the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu lies in the lower regions of the universe. This snake bed is called Vasuki. There are also other snakes known as Vasuki. Arjuna can see from the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu up to the topmost part of the universe on the lotus flower planet where Brahma, the first creature of the universe, resides. That means that from the beginning to the end, everything could be seen by Arjuna sitting in one place on his chariot. This was possible by the grace of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatyadeshatarine. So here Srila Prabhupada in this verse is describing very nicely the situation of what Arjuna is seeing on a chariot. Because this vision of the universal form is often misinterpreted by persons with a poor fund of knowledge. In other words, Arjuna is able to see this form and everything that is manifested and described here because he has received a special vision given by Krishna. It is not that everybody on the battlefield saw what Arjuna was seeing. No, not everybody is seeing that. Only Arjuna, because he had been given the special vision by the mercy of Lord Krishna. So he's seeing the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu in the bottom of the universe, all the way up to Lord Brahma in Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. Usually people in the modern society, with their modern educational system, cannot comprehend how in the higher planets of the universe, there are living beings that live for a very long period of time. The other day, somebody sent me a news item how the American government and other governments also have various files, secret files on UFO, unidentified flying objects. Well, we have IFO. According to the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gītā, we have identified flying objects. What is that? The demigods and their vimanas, their chariots. If we look in the Nectar of Devotion, there is a description by Srila Prabhupada that before the appearance of Lord Buddha, the demigods used to come to this planet. The demigods are the residents of the higher planet, the sun, the moon, Indraloka, so many other planets who manage the universal affairs. Just like any intelligent person can understand that a government has a president or a prime minister, and there are so many different ministers to make everything happen. Nothing just happened by chance. You have Department of Economic Affairs, you have Foreign Affairs, Tourism, so many, Justice Department, so many different departments to make the whole government go. But a child may think, well, I don't see it. How does it happen? So intelligent persons who hear from authorities, who hear from realized souls, who have the knowledge, can very easily understand the situation in higher planets. What is that situation? They live for a longer period of time. They have a very high standard of living, a much longer duration. There is description in the Srimad Bhagavatam that both the men and women are much more handsome and much more beautiful than the residents of this planet. They do not suffer the miseries that we suffer here. It is a much higher level of sense enjoyment. So coming back to the point, before the appearance of Lord Buddha, the demigods used to come to this planet to attend to various Vedic sacrifices. They used to come in their vimanas, or they have special airplanes and special mystic powers by which they're able to fly from one planet to another. Just like on this planet, people can basically go from one country to another taking an airplane. So the demigods in higher planets, they have these mystic siddhis. Siddhis means perfection, mystic yogic perfections. And they also have these special airplanes called vimanas, by which they can go from one plane to another, one planet to another. So the demigods used to come to this planet and attend various Vedic sacrifices. But the wives of the demigods were not happy that their husbands were allowed to come to this planet and leave their comfortable position in the higher planets. So they started to pray to Lord Vishnu, please send an incarnation to stop these sacrifices. So they prayed for the appearance of Lord Buddha, whom, as we know, stopped many of these different Vedic sacrifices. And thus, the demigods from higher planets stopped coming to this planet after the appearance of Lord Buddha. Now, when people speak of UFOs, I can appreciate the fact that they have some idea that in Roswell, New Mexico, somebody allegedly came there. Okay. But we have information directly from the Srimad Bhagavatam about those living beings. It is a different system of knowledge. It is not by speculation. It is not by research. It is not by experiment. No. It is done by hearing from realized souls, like Shukadev Goswami, the author of the Srimad Bhagavatam, from Krishna himself. And this is what Arjuna is seeing here. That universal form, while he's sitting on his chariot on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, north of New Delhi, India, is seeing the entire manifestation of the universe, from the bottom to the top. Now, if somebody tries to experiment what's going on in the bottom portion of the universe, they will not be able to go there. They will not be able to understand. You cannot verify this by experiment. Similarly, the higher planets where the demigods reside, and also the planets of the great rishis or great sages above the pole star, so many very advanced living beings live there. You cannot go there by mechanical means. It is not possible. Higher planets cannot be achieved by mechanical means. It cannot be achieved by following the path recommended in the Vedas, by austerities and special worship. But if one develops the finer intelligence by hearing from realized souls like Srila Prabhupada and great acharyas, then one can worship Krishna, and at the end of this life, one can go beyond this universe and go back to Vaikuntha, where there's no more suffering, no more lamentation, no more illusion. Everything, all problems can be solved. Now, coming back to a point that was mentioned earlier by Vishwakarma Prabhu, where people ask, or are you people with ISKCON? Well, we're with the con, with the Krishna Consciousness movement, not with the FishCon. We do not subscribe to the false doctrine and ideologies and misleading philosophies of the misleaders of this society that claims to represent Srila Prabhupada. And people may say, well, why do you say that? Why do you criticize? It is not a criticism. It is a factual observation. It is a factual observation. One cannot misrepresent the teachings of the Acharya for various reasons, such as self-aggrandizement, self-promotion, different kinds of nonsensical motive, and think, oh, I represent Prabhupada now. Well, you can only represent Prabhupada by following Prabhupada. In other words, the teachings of the Acharya, one cannot manufacture his own way of following the Acharya. Just like if you work for a police department, you cannot manufacture your own way of behavior. You cannot go rogue. You have to follow policies and procedures in accordance with the established order by the people in charge of the department. If somebody says, well, I know how to do things, I'm going to do things my own way. Well, that attitude will not last very long. One cannot function that way. Similarly, in spiritual life, in order to progress steadily and intelligently, one has to follow the unimpeachable instructions of great acharyas or great spiritual professors. And this is where Srila Prabhupada comes in. His instructions, his teachings, his writings, his example is still applicable today. One should not foolishly think, oh, Prabhupada departed in 1977. Now I've got to look around everywhere for some so-called successor. No. Interestingly, in San Francisco, in July of 1975, when a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, what is going to happen to your movement after you die? And Prabhupada's immediate reaction is, I shall never die. I shall live from my books and you will utilize. And all the devotees very nicely cheered, because that is the essence of spiritual life. In other words, one has to understand the teachings of the Acharya. What is he teaching? What is he giving? This is not simply a show of dancing and chanting. There is a philosophy behind it, a very deep philosophy. Just like we were discussing in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how there are higher living beings in higher planets, and these higher living beings are endowed with vastly superior powers to human beings on this planet. They live much longer. They have a much higher standard of living. They do not suffer from the kind of miseries here that we suffer, although they don't live eternally, but they live for very, very long durations of life. Now, somebody may say, well, we don't experience that here. Yeah, you don't, because you don't know. You have to learn by hearing. Submissive oral reception from a realized, knowledgeable soul, who is a liberated soul. What is a liberated soul? One who is free from the influence of the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. When we read on Sunday, before we begin the Srimad Bhagavatam discussion, how we read a few selected verses from the first canto, second chapter, describing the benefit of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. And one of these verses, Nashta prayeshu babadrishu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamaśloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Because somebody may say, well, why do you spend so much time discussing about Prabhupada, about his teaching? Because that is recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That is given there. It is also recommended in Bhagavad-gītā Acharya upasanam saucham, that one should accept and worship the Acharya, hear from the Acharya. In other words, Prabhupada in his poetry in the late 1950s mentioned that a festival of fruit and flowers only does not constitute worship, but following the message, that is the real worship. So when people say, what are you part of ISKCON? We are part of the Krishna Consciousness movement, following Prabhupada's pure, unadulterated teachings, not hodgepodge ideas, not political manipulation ideas. These things will not help. There is a standard practice in spiritual life for making progressive spiritual progress, and that is established by the Acharya. Just like in various police departments or law enforcement, there is a certain way to investigate crimes. to investigate murders, to investigate serial killings, to investigate different criminal activities. There's a standard way that is taught, that is practiced. And one cannot invent his own way. One has to follow the standard practice, then there's good possibility of success. Similarly, in spiritual life, if we follow the instruction of Srila Prabhupada as he prescribed, because nowadays we see so many different interpretations by various individuals who claim to have received their position on the basis of a so-called unproven appointment, and various others who claim they have been voted in, they have a voting certificate. Simply, this is all nonsense. This is all nonsense. Prabhupada wanted people to represent him as he is. Prabhupada as he is. But what we have seen is people taking advantage of these positions to basically misrepresent the teachings and taking advantage of the innocence and good hearts of many people. People should not be misled. People should not be misled. We see in the Bhagavad-gītā in chapter 4, text 42, and we've discussed this many times before, but we will do it again because it is an extremely important verse. Chapter 4, text number 42, Bhagavad-gītā. At the end, Srila Prabhupada explains, a bona fide spiritual master is in a disciplined succession from time eternal, and he does not deviate at all from the instructions of the Supreme Lord as they were imparted millions of years ago to the Sun God, from whom the instructions of Bhagavad-gītā have come down to the earthly kingdom. One should therefore follow the path of Bhagavad-gītā as it is expressed in the Gita itself, and beware of self-interested people after personal aggrandizement who deviate others from the actual path. The Lord is definitely the supreme person, and his activities are transcendental. One who understands this is a liberated person from the very beginning of his study of the Gita. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, to whom it may concern. Hare Krishna.
Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, for that explanation of this verse. And further, we're going to open up the discussion. I just wanted to comment that the process found in the Bhagavad-gītā as it is the basis of spiritual advancement. It is like any process of learning. You construct your understanding by your practice of the process. And everyone learns by hearing from others. So when we hear spiritual knowledge from a bona fide source, our understanding will be revealed by Krishna from within. Because Krishna exists in everyone as Paramatma. I was listening to a lecture Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu yesterday of Srila Prabhupada, and he said Krishna knows everything. Krishna knows past, Krishna knows present, and Krishna knows future. Krishna knows everything. And Krishna knows the sincere purpose of the individual soul. Actually, Prabhupada further explained that not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of Krishna. Can we understand that? Well, that depends on our capacity to understand. Prabhupada further gives us insight that a person's capacity is developed by his practice of devotional service. For example, the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. Krishna, Prabhupada Prabhupada explains, is present in his name. He's non-different. So the name and form of Krishna are identical. And the more that a person chants the holy names, the more he associates with Krishna. Now, is Krishna witnessing this? Yes, he is. And the more we practice the process of Krishna consciousness, under the direction, of course, of a bona fide source, the more we will make advancement, and our capacity for understanding this process will be revealed to us. Krishna reveals himself to his devotee, but the process must be bona fide. It cannot be bogus. The bona fide process is found in the teachings of Srila Prabhupada in his books, in his tapes, and in his lectures. So this is the responsibility of all of us, to be able to share this knowledge to other people and help them take up the process. I'm noticing, Prabhu Neela Sharma, that some people from India are getting a hold of me lately. And I mentioned it at the beginning of the class, how they're very eager to find a guru. They just have this aptitude. And they're responding to me immediately. Oh, I want you to accept me as your disciple. I'll do whatever you say. This is, of course, a sign of great piety and sincerity. You can see, and Prabhupada would explain to us, the Indian people are naturally Krishna conscious. It's in their character, their birth. Of course, not all are there, but it is a really, sort of glorious part of their birth. Actually, Lord Chaitanya wanted the Indian people to preach Krishna consciousness throughout the world because it's their aptitude. It's natural. Here in the West, we're not raised in this culture. And, we're very fortunate, all of us, that we have the association of a bona fide spiritual master who has woken us up out of the illusions of life. Yes, it's possible, but you have to follow the process carefully in order to get the capacity to understand Krishna consciousness by the mercy of the spiritual master and the Paramatma within us. There's two significant things here, Guru and Krishna. So Krishna is aware of what we're doing, and the Paramatma knows everything. Now, can we understand that? It's a somewhat very advanced level of Krishna consciousness. But if we simply accept that and practice this process with faith in the orders of the spiritual master, we will get the understanding of what is necessary to go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. In this lifetime. Prabhupada was asked that question, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? He said, and it's in the Bhagavad-gītā, he says, in 1 minute. It's simply understanding and accepting the fact. That's as simple as it is. But is it easy for us? Because people, especially in the West, are so distracted by materialism, by bodily consciousness. They think, oh, if I have enjoyment, I'll be happy. There is no enjoyment in this material world. Sage Prabhupada says to Maharaj Nimi, know it for certain, there is no happiness here. Why? Because it's like a mirage in the desert. You think you're going to be happy if you get money. Oh, if I get this money, I'll be happy. And if I lose my money, I'll be unhappy. Yes, you will. But is that happiness? No, that is misery. Real happiness is ananda. Nilesh, it's ananda, blissfulness. Where does bliss come from? It comes from understanding your spiritual nature and your actions in relation to Krishna and the Guru that will please them. And in this way, Krishna will enable the devotee to find eternal happiness, even within the confines of this body. Yes, because we are transcendental. And when we're spiritually enlightened, we'll realize it, just like the coconut and the coconut pulp. Prabhupada uses the example in the Bhagavatam, Nilesh, I'm sure you're aware of it, how the coconut pulp separates from the coconut shell. So even while we're in this material body, we can separate ourselves from the material in prison house by the devotional practices that we engage in every day, by chanting our rounds. Very important. You know, a lot of times people get a hold of me, they ask me, well, how can I become a disciple? I said, well, first you have to chant your rounds. Oh, what's that? I have a fellow from Texas that sent me a message a few days ago. He said, well, how do I do that? Well, I said, you'll need japa beads. Oh, he goes, oh, well, how do I get those? Can you give me a source? So I looked it up on Google. I found japa beads, Yaśodā, some people selling nice Tulsi beads. I told him, get a hold of these people, get yourself some beads. How much should I chant? Well, you should chant 28,000 names of Krishna every day. Oh, really? Well, how do you expect to make advancement in any kind of field if you don't apply yourself? I don't care if you're a dental professor and you're teaching other students how to become qualified in dentistry. They better apply themselves. Huh? And it is laborious. They have to spend months and years studying and studying and studying to learn this particular field and become expert in helping their patients. So how the heck are you going to make advancement in spiritual life if you don't chant 16 rounds a day minimum? That is a basic requirement. A lot of our God brothers that we've known in the past, they don't chant. They don't. I've seen a video recently of one of these so-called gurus, and this is how he was chanting, Nilesh. I'm not gonna mention the person. You can see them online. They don't have any shame in posting this stuff. He's like this. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Excuse me. There's 16 words in the mantra. Hare Krishna. It's called dive bomber japa. He's supposed to be a guru. In our disciplic succession, he can't chant the holy name. How is this? This is the first step. You chant 16 rounds. Then you can start to qualify yourself by purification. The idea Prabhupada explains about the chanting is that it purifies you of your material conceptions. It's not just a question of reading. Yes, you read from the books and then you implement into your life the practice of Krishna consciousness. And there are regulated principles. Well, why do you follow these regulated principles? No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex life, and no gambling. Well, because this enables us to rise above the animal platform of life. Because the animal platform is the basis of is based on eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. If a person is not disciplined, disciple means discipline. If they don't follow the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master, if they don't practice the processes, how can they become qualified to first understand it and then explain it to others? Otherwise, they just resort, Nilesh, to mental speculation, mental concoction, like Radhanath with his book Journey Home. It is completely insane, and yet people follow it because people are eager to learn. I'm learning it from these nice people from India that are sending me this, oh, I want you to be my guru. That's the first thing they say to me. Can you accept me as your disciple? Oh, hold on here. Please just slow down, sir. From Bengal or from Delhi or wherever these people are living. Slow down. You want to become spiritually aware, you first learn the process. Oh, well, guide me. Oh, yes, we'll guide you, all right. Oh, but I want you to be my guru. No, thank you very much. In a sense, we are helping them. And there's such a thing as Siksha. Siksha Guru, Vartma Padarshika Guru, Diksha Guru. There are different types of gurus. So all of us, it's our responsibility, Krishna Kata, to teach people how to take up the process and let Prabhupada be their guru. And then this movement will be protected into the future with new Prabhupada disciples. Otherwise, what is it going to be? Look, Nilesh, think about it. If you go to any Christian church, and there are thousands of them, who will they say is the guru? Jesus Christ is. Now, they have different books that they've translated. There are thousands of different versions of the Bible, like the Jehovah's Witnesses. They have a different version than the Protestants, and they have a different version than the Catholics. There's all different versions. So this has happened now in the Krishna movement, that there's so many different versions of the Gita being written by different people. There's only one Gita as it is, Prabhupada's Gita. There is only one process of Krishna consciousness to practice. That's Prabhupada's rules and regulations. You can read them, Prabhus. You can see they're handwritten and they're put up. And they were put up in the New York Temple back in the 60s. Do this. And we simply tell people, do the same thing. And in this way, you'll make advancement. In this way, you'll get the realization of who you are. And in this way, you'll go back to Godhead at the time of death. This is a simple process, simple for the simple, but very difficult, Shama, for the crooked. You want to cheat, you can cheat. If you want to cheat others, Krishna will let you cheat. But this will not give you spiritual success. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please.
Very interesting statement in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Canto 8, Chapter 1, text number 10. Canto 8, Chapter 1, text number 10. Prabhupada said, therefore, if by chance we get an abundance of money, we should always consider that it belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Krishna consciousness, we're getting sufficient money, but we should never think that the money belongs to us. It belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and should be equally distributed to the workers, the devotees. No devotee should claim that any money or property belongs to him. If one thinks that any portion of property of this huge universe belongs to anyone, he is to be considered a thief and is punishable by the laws of nature. Devi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. No one can surpass the vigilance of material nature or hide his intentions from material nature. If human society unlawfully claims that the property of the universe, either partially or wholly, belongs to mankind, all of human society will be cursed as a society of thieves and will be punished by the laws of nature. What to speak of a spiritual society where people think this is my temple, my money, my this, my that. Very important instruction from Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Let's move forward. Thank you. With Nilesh Sharma, I see he's had his hand up for quite a long time. So please go ahead, Prabhu, further discuss the topic with us.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Very interesting topic, very interesting points which you have made. And I would like to address certain issues which you have raised also.
Yes, Prabhu.
Number one is talking about the shloka which we discussed today in Bhagavad-gītā, where Arjuna sitting in Kurukshetra can see everything in the material world from Brahmalok all the way down to Garbhodashai Vishnu, who is below the Patal Lok, seated on the serpent Vasuki. You see, how is this possible? Now, understand modern science and cosmology, how they have gone about it. First, we were always interested in looking at the outside world beyond the earth. We devised certain telescopes. Then we realized that because of the light pollution and other factors, we need in a very quiet place. So we moved huge telescopes to very quiet places or places which did not have light pollution. Then we realized that the atmosphere of the earth kind of interferes with our viewing the outside space. So we built telescopes on top of mountains. We know that one which is in Switzerland. And of course, latest, if you look at the latest in China, there is a telescope called FAST, which is the biggest telescope on Earth. Of course, now that scientists realize that we want to investigate whether we are the only species or only life form which exists in this entire huge cosmos. So this curiosity is coming from where? From the soul itself.
Yes.
Bhagavatam has repeatedly told us that we are not the only living species in this universe. Every universe has life forms. They may not look like us because we have an appropriate body to live on Earth, while those people have appropriate bodies living in that particular planet system, including the sun planet. So then we devised the Hubble telescope. The Hubble telescope is a telescope which is revolving around us, rotating around us in space to see beyond it. And then the scientists came to the idea that, well, we see only which is within the visible spectrum, which is the light telescopes. So let us invent an infrared telescope and we put it out in space. And that is what we call as the Webb telescope. So they have now a Webb telescope, which is an infrared telescope, which is out in space taking pictures, and you can look it up on the internet and everything. Now, how come Arjuna could sit in Kurukshetra and see everything beyond when the modern scientists cannot see any kind of life forms using the Webb telescope, using the Hubble telescope, or using any of the terrestrial telescopes? So one thing we need to kind of distinguish over here is that what was Arjuna blessed with and what the scientists are blessed with, are not blessed with. They are not blessed with that divine vision. Arjuna was blessed with a divine vision by Krishna so that he could see all these parts. So that explains even the UFO concept, is that everybody is very interested that yes, there are terrestrials beyond Earth. And Bhagavatam has never said that. And Prabhupada has always said that if you want to know things beyond your visible spectrum, beyond this Earth, you have to reference the scriptures, you have to reference the Bhagavatam, without which you cannot do that. So that is the point which was with the shloka which we discussed today. The second part which was coming up to was people asking you to become guru. Now, I would tell all the neophytes only one thing. Suppose I put a lab apron, a white lab coat on you, and you walked in the halls of a hospital, I made you walk. Would they approach you and says, Vishwakarma Prabhu, can you do my open heart surgery? Would they ask you to do that? No. Why not? Just because you look like a guru, that doesn't mean that you are a guru. And that is the problem which most of us, we make mistakes as neophytes. In fact, I would like to pose a question to Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu for all the neophyte devotees over here, is that you keep stressing on reading the 1972 version of the Bhagavad-gītā. When in the modern days, if I have a Windows 8, I am obsolete. Windows 7, I am obsolete. If I have Windows 8 is better than Windows 7. If I have Windows 10, it is even better than Windows 8. So why not Bhagavad-gītā, which is 1.0, which is 1972 version? Why do you keep insisting on people to reference that and not the Bhagavad-gītā 2.0, Bhagavad-gītā 3.0, Bhagavad-gītā 4.0, which are coming out from the mainstream ISKCON? Because according to me, if I'm a regular guy in this material world, the latest version is the best version, because everything has to evolve with time. Just like I was telling you, the Windows operating systems, where if I have the latest version, it is the best version. So why do you and Vishwakarma Prabhu keep insisting that no, we should stick to the original? What is the difference over here between the material way of getting material knowledge and the spiritual way to get real spiritual knowledge? I think that point has to be very clearly clarified as to why we beat our chests all the time that we need to stick to the original and not change the books. Hare Krishna.
Yaśodā-nandana, please.
Well, he is raising some very important points, very, very important points. The fact is, for example, there are many references in Srila Prabhupada's books how he wanted all of his disciples and followers to act as gurus, to act as teachers, as guides, to promote the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And at the same time, there's other references, for example, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 24, text 330, where Prabhupada says, only such a person is eligible to occupy the position of guru, a topmost Mahabhagavata. So one is to utilize the intelligence. What is Prabhupada trying to say here? In other words, first one has to follow properly, then try to preach the message according to Srila Prabhupada's instruction. Just like we see so many new inventions, new manufactured ideas that have come up in attempt to preach, and they call it bridge preaching. They compromise with various ways, various methods, thinking that this will attract people. As a matter of fact, during Prabhupada's manifested presence in 1972, some devotees tried this kind of so-called or pseudo-type bridge preaching with a yoga village roadshow like that, and Prabhupada told them, stop that. Do not engage in this activity. The people that will come as a result of this will not last, because they're only coming of sentiment only. There is another letter in the 1970 where Prabhupada told one of his leaders, what good are many devotees if none of them are knowledgeable? Why did Prabhupada write these books? Why did Prabhupada only sleep 2 hours at night and spend so much time writing these books? Why? Because he wanted to leave a lasting legacy to guide people, to basically teach people how to become devotees and how to become teachers according to their level of realization. There's nothing wrong if somebody wants to become a teacher or a guide, but it should be done according to the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. I see a very important comment from Krishna Katha. He says, because if all the editing was just only for typos, spelling errors, then yes, read the newest version of Gita. But this is not the case. There are meaning changes and 5,000 changes that support the material gross and subtle sense gratification agenda. There is no room for personal agenda and personal aggrandizement if one becomes a serious devotee and one wants to become a preacher. That's why Prabhupada only nominated representatives, officiating representative in 1977, that he was to remain the guru who gives the transcendental knowledge, who gives the divyam jnanam. He's still doing that today for those who have the intelligence to understand. Hare Krishna.
I wanted to further mention, Nilesh, this point, that Prabhupada explains that Acharya is the representative of Krishna, and that Krishna speaks through the Acharya, which is beyond time and space. So transcendental knowledge is not something that changes by circumstance. It is the same truth. It never changes. It is up to the student to learn it, not change it. Prabhupada mentions further in the lecture, he says that people say I've created miracles. Oh, he goes, there are many miracles, but I know no miracle myself I've done. If there's anything that I've done, is I haven't changed the teachings of my guru and the understanding of how to get to Krishna through his guidance. No change. It's a science, my friend. It's the science of disciple guruship that gets one into the spiritual realm. No other way. And if somebody can understand this simple point, their life will be successful. And this is what we're preaching. Hold on, Nilesh. We have somebody else here. Ishan Bardraj. Where are you, Prabhu? I don't see your picture, but I see your name and your hands up. Do you have a point of questioning or insight for us in today's Zoom meeting? Ishan Bardraj. Click your microphone, Prabhu. Do you know how to do that? He cannot open his mic. Okay, we'll move forward here. I see that. Do you have your hand still up, Nilesh? You wanted to comment?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to make a small brief comment. So basically, both you and Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu are saying that one can become a guru only if they have two qualifications.
Yeah.
Number one, they have to be an absolute liberated soul or purified soul, where their purificatory process is 100%, so there is no material attachments to it. And the second point is they have to be ordered by their spiritual master to become a guru. So even if you may be a pure soul, you cannot become a guru until you are ordered by your spiritual master to become guru. Why? Because praptasya kalyana gunarna vashya vande guru shri charanaravinda. Until and unless you are not given the authority or the power to deliver people, you cannot deliver people. And this is the reason people like you yourself, like Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, where not just these people, but thousands or hundreds more may have approached you for accepting them as your disciples, and you have refused, is because you are aware of these two very critical features. So one may look like a guru, one may behave like a guru, but do they have these two features? And if they don't have these two features, they are not qualified to be gurus.
Actually, the business of a guru is a very dangerous one. But remember, there's Vartma Pradarshaka Guru, there is Siksha Guru, and there's Diksha Guru. So like yourself, Prabhu, you're acting as an instructor. That's not such a difficult thing. To your group there in Miami, you can also distribute the books in Miami to others when we get them published and direct them to read them. So this is the joy of Krishna consciousness, that you have a role, Prabhu. And Vijay Pandit has a role, and Krishna Katha has a role, and Joe Felice and Mario Panada, and all the devotees in this group. You can all act, we can all act as helpers to direct people. And this is called siksha, give guidance, correct guidance. And it doesn't carry the karmic responsibility, brother. Remember, Diksha Guru means you have to accept the karma of your disciples. And look what happens when you do that. And you're not bona fide, you get reaction. And we've seen it in the example of so many of our God brothers who have taken these roles and been severely punished by Krishna, even in front of our eyes, and still people deny it. Still they deny it because they don't have the capacity. For some reason, they don't have the capacity to be able to appreciate the truth when it's presented to them. They just can't. They look at you, oh, you're a blasphemer. Excuse me. Oh, you're a ritvik. You minimize us because we're trying to present Prabhupada as your guru, and you're saying, you don't understand the philosophy. Okay, well, to you, I appear to be a deviant, but in reality, you are the offender. You are the blasphemer, and you are being misled. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please.
I find it interesting that whenever we have these discussions,
Yes,
about the qualification to be a spiritual teacher or spiritual representative, just like the point that has been raised by Nilesh Prabhu is very, very important. In a conversation in Nairobi, Kenya, Africa, in October of 1975, an Indian gentleman asked Srila Prabhupada, how did you become the leader of the Krishna Consciousness movement? And Prabhupada says, when I was ordered by my guru. And Prabhupada went on with the conversation and said, a guru can only become a guru when he's ordered by his guru. And the point is, we have to use the intelligence. Although on one hand, Prabhupada made many generic or basically, generic comments that everybody should become a guru. I mean, I saw in Chandigarh in October of 1976, Prabhupada tell a group of journalists, you all become gurus. Follow the teachings of Bhagavad-gītā, become Trinat and become gurus. Teach the message, spread the message, follow the instruction. On the other hand, the position of Acharya, although the words are used many times interchangeably, the position of acting as Acharya, as a spiritual authority, want us to use the intelligence. What was Prabhupada's intent? What was Prabhupada's desire? Because people look at conversation and they jump to different conclusions and they go cherry picking different quotes, different statements from Srila Prabhupada to try to fulfill their desire. And then the first thing they do, they put their palm down, give me money and worship me. Well, wait a minute. This is the point. Did Srila Prabhupada directly and specifically order these original 11 devotees as acharyas? That is the question that has never been openly, fully, and thoroughly discussed. There's all kinds of interpretations. But in 1978, when it really counted, they didn't discuss it in front of everybody. They didn't discuss it in front of all the devotees. They did not discuss it in front of all the temple presidents. They did not discuss it in front of all the sannyasis and senior members. They just ran on a boat, went to some Neomat advisor, and then they started this concocted idea that we were the appointed material and spiritual successors, now worship us, and if you question us, if you dissent, we kick you out. This is simply nonsense. And devotees are not buying this nonsense political propaganda. It no longer is believable. That is why people have to go back to Prabhupada's teachings. I don't care if it takes years to analyze and study every single statement Prabhupada made about initiate, initiation, initiated, guru, disciple, disciple succession, liberated person, and study it to come to the proper conclusion. Do you mean to say that Prabhupada made a mistake, like an ordinary man, by appointing or choosing unqualified person who subsequently proved themselves to be not qualified for the position of Acharya? Did Krishna also make a mistake by telling his pure devotee to appoint the wrong people? There are theological ramifications to this bogus idea of appointment. There are very serious consequences. And one of the first consequences, people lose faith. They lose respect for the people that have propagated these falsehoods and these nonsensical ideas. That is why what Shyama Prabhu there in Miami, the point that he is raising are very, very important, very intelligent questions that devotees should evaluate and ask themselves. Would Prabhupada make such a mistake? And if somebody thinks that the Acharya is subject to making mistakes, with good luck to you, you're never going to understand spiritual life. Yasya ve narakisa. You're a candidate for the hellish region. Thank you.
Yes, and Prabhupada is the transparent via media of Krishna. So we should understand, Nilesh, as you do and we do, that when Prabhupada is speaking, it's Krishna speaking through him. That this is beyond time and space. This is the eternal platform. And when you connect with Srila Prabhupada, you're connecting with Krishna on the transcendental eternal platform. Just like when you chant Hare Krishna, Prabhupada says there is no difference between Krishna and his form. The name of Krishna and the form of Krishna are the same. Do we understand it? Well, if we apply ourselves, follow the principles, chant our rounds, study the books, then Krishna will reveal everything to us in due course of time. And we should have faith in that. We have one question, Yaśodā, from Angelo V in the chat. Maybe you could answer that before we end up our discussion.
What is the question?
The question was about the 1975 Bhagavad-gītā. Is it a reprint of the 72?
I do not have it right in front of me. It may be, it may not be. I don't know. I'd have to see.
Okay.
Vishwakarma Prabhu, there's a question from Ishwan Bhardaraj. He finally put it up. It's a very nice question. If you could read it, and maybe you or Yaśodā could comment.
Let's see if I can get it. Okay. Hold on, I think I have it. For some context, I've gone through many depictions of Prabhupada's biographies, like short films and Satsvarup Prabhu's Leela Amrita, where he has depicted as very ordinary person. And at the same time, they say he was an eternal associate of Lord Krishna. This seems to be very counterintuitive as to why Krishna would put his own devotee into material contamination, forcing him to undergo miseries. I read the Hare Krishna Society Siddhanta PDF today, which included the following text. A Nityasiddha is one who is never contaminated by the material nature. The Nityasiddha never forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Prabhupada seemingly appeared very materialistic, following Gandhi's ideas, etc., was he still fully Krishna conscious, just like Arjuna appeared as a gross materialist for Krishna to impart the Bhagavad-gītā? Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, maybe you could respond.
The understanding of a Nitya Siddha is one who never forgets Krishna. even though he appears to behave just like an ordinary devotee or an ordinary human. Prabhupada explained to a devotee in 1970 that there was never a moment in my life where I ever forgot Krishna. Prabhupada said, I never engaged in any sinful activities, although I had plenty of opportunities to do so. There are many statements by Srila Prabhupada with regards to the position of the Nitya Siddha, or eternally liberated souls, who come to this world to liberate the fallen souls, to liberate the conditioned souls. So when you say when Prabhupada seemingly appeared very materialistic, this is not basically a very sound conclusion. You're saying, was he still fully Krishna conscious? The answer is yes. Just like you say, just like Arjuna appeared as a gross materialist for Krishna to impart the Bhagavad-gītā. There is a lot of issues with this, and the reason why these kind of misrepresentations have happened is because of so-called biographies that were written after Srila Prabhupada's departure in 1977, where people tended to portray Prabhupada as an ordinary human, as an old man who was afflicted by cold, who shuddered, who was bewildered, who never saw snow, who was like a derelict in the street. Basically, they portrayed Srila Prabhupada just like a materialistic person who came at the right place in the right time. This is not the correct understanding. This is an improper representation of Srila Prabhupada. In other words, to understand the position of the pure devotee, one has to hear from the pure devotee himself. One cannot speculate or concoct or manufacture different interpretation. Even though to our vision, it may appear that he was conditioned. He's never conditioned. He's always transcendental. For example, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 8th canto, there's a place where Prabhupada described one should stop thinking the spiritual master an ordinary man. This was written around 75, 76, 1975. Prabhupada could see, he could detect that many of these devotees that he was surrounded with did not understand his position. Therefore, he's giving that warning. We have written an article called The Unique Historical Position of Srila Prabhupada. This was written by Narasimha Das and myself, which compiled many statements by Srila Prabhupada regarding the position of a Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated souls, and it explains very nicely, Prabhupada explains very nicely how to understand the position of the pure devotee of the Acharya. Even though he comes to this world just like an ordinary person, he's never to be understood to be an ordinary person. This is just a summary. I'll try to send you an email with 1 or 2 articles that will help you understand the issue. Hare Krishna.
Yes, and thank you very much. Very interesting comments today from our panel of devotees, and we want to thank you for it. And of course, these topics and the many topics that we have can be discussed extensively, and we hope to do that moving forward into the future. And we'll be back tomorrow, by the way, at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Srimad Bhagavatam class. And please, by all means, continue to stay steady with us. I think you'll find it very gratifying to be a part of this sadhana program. But what was the conclusion of that meeting? We will continue with the discussion. Otherwise, we'll keep going. And we do have a timeline that we're following for our group. It is already 11:45 here in Hamilton. So thank you, though. I know that. Shama, I look forward to coming to Florida someday. We can talk for hours. So, but at the meantime, please remember we have our GoFundMe campaign, and irrespective of how much you donate for it, I think the link is there if you can put it up. If not, you can find it on our different mediums, and donate whatever you can to this printing of the original Delhi Bhagavatams. And we promise we will send you a set when they're printed. And in this way, you'll have that treasure in your library that you can pass on to your future generations. And if you're interested in being a distribution center for us with our offices of the society, let us know. We'll include you on our list of offices, global offices, and you will become an ambassador for this mission in Florida or in Bangalore or Hawaii or Italy or France, wherever you're located, in Quebec, in Canada, in the US. And in this way, we'll continue to proliferate. We're promoting this. Yes, we are. And we're giving people an alternative to the ISKCON group with this group that just puts Prabhupada in the position, Nilesh, as the bona fide spiritual master, Diksha Guru, Siksha Guru, that his books that are unedited are the proper books to follow and study. And the process of Krishna consciousness, by attending these classes, chanting rounds, following the regulative principles, will be the method by which you or the people within this organization can follow to get out of the entanglement of the material world, which we are so much caught up in. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and the Sankirtan movement. Rupesh, thank you. Let's put up the chanting of Hare Krishna, Nilesh, and listen to how Prabhupada's playing the bongo and how enlivening it is, because he didn't have a mridanga, how enlivening it is to hear him chant back in '66, the Maha Mantra, and inspire the whole world to take up this process of chanting the holy names under the guidance of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. We offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating, and we will see you all tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, corresponding to 10 a.m. on Eastern Time, Florida time, and Toronto time. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnava Vangsha Sri Rupam Sagrajayatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tang Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya